why they're all of physical benefit for a human being. And he's the main source for this view that kashrus is all health related. The Abarbanel we're about to read is very much against him and happens to be the dissenting and majority view. Let me have Henry read this from God forbid.
Number 3?
Yeah, number 3, the Abarbanel.
God forbid that I should believe that the reasons for forbidden foods are medicinal. For were it so, the book of God's law should be in the same class as in any of the minor brief medical books. Furthermore, our own eyes see that the people who eat pork and insects and the like are well and alive and healthy at this very day.
Right. So the Abarbanel says he's saying you're pretty much taking away from the covenant of the Torah. You're saying the Torah is just another medical book. Hashem didn't just prescribe something that's completely physical in nature. And if it were true that the only way to be healthy is through kosher food, so all the non-Jews would be dead. Maybe you'd say, maybe, chas v'shalom, maybe you would say that they would eat some kosher food that keeps them going, but you'd have to say, like, people that were eating all non-kosher food would be sick all the time. It's just, Barbanel says it can't be.
You're from the South and I live in the South. You live in the South. They're still alive.
Yeah, they're alive. They're well.
They're still alive
Yeah.
and kicking.
So, the Abarbanel, and like I said, he's the majority view, is that it's not a health-related thing. Let me have Mitchell read the beginning of part F here, damage caused by non-kosher food.
All Torah authorities agree that kosher food has a beneficial effect on the soul and non-kosher food the opposite effect. However, they disagree as to whether non-kosher food can physically damage the body. The sources listed below maintain that non-kosher food physically damages the body. The Kli Yakar, cited in B1 above, disagrees.
Yeah. We're going to look at the second source here. The first one can really be argued as a spiritual thing rather than a physical. I'm going to look at the Sefer HaChinuch down here in Mitzvah 73. We're going to skip this first one. We're running a little short on time anyways. I want to make sure we get to a few things that are important. Says Sefer HaChinuch, Misharshe Mitzvah Zu, the roots for the mitzvah of kashrus, Lefisha Aguf Kli L'Nefesh. It's because the body is a vessel, a vehicle for the soul. Ubo Tasa Pe'ulasa, through it does all of its actions. We have a vehicle called the body. A quick idea. Many Mefarshim bring, why did Adam not care that he was naked in the Garden of Eden? The answer was, he realized that the main part of him was a soul, and that his body was a vehicle. So just like a person doesn't care that his horse is naked, Adam didn't care that his body was naked, because he was a soul, and the body was just the vehicle. So when he was able to realize that on a tachlistic level, on a real level, we're not holding there. But he was holding to a place where he knew this was just a vehicle for me, so it didn't bother him. So we're saying the guf is a kli. It's just a vessel. It's a carriage for the nefesh. Ubotasa pulasa, through it does all of its work. Vizulasa lo tishla malacha la'olam. Without it, without the body, without a healthy body, you can't really get anything done. Bios beguf shum hefsid. If the body is lacking something, from whatever it's lacking, if there's something lacking in your body, tisbatal pula seichel kafiyos hefsid. Your physical abilities, your mental abilities are all going to be affected based on that lacking. The alkain harchikasenu tarasenu hashlama mikol davar agorim bohefsin. Therefore, the Torah distanced us from anything that would cause us any lacking. Ukamokein v'alderech hazeh lefi pshat nemar shebalanu ha'isr b'Torah b'chol machal asuros. This is where, on a simple level, the prohibition of all the prohibited foods comes from, because we know we need the body to be a vehicle for us. So he's riding on the Rambam train. He's saying there are physical ramifications here. We need our body to be healthy in order to service the neshama. So he's saying the ultimate idea is spirituality, but he is saying that there are physical things that could happen here. V'im yesh mehem she'ein noda lanu v'lo l'chachmei refuah nizakein. And if there are things that we don't know, or that doctors don't know whether they're dangerous or not. Al tatamale, you shouldn't be in wonderment about that. Ki arofe aneman, because the true healer, i.e. Hashem, shiz hirenu behen, who warned us about them, chacham yoser mimcha umehem, is much wiser than you or them. Ama nischal, the nivhal, mi shechashuv she'en lo dvarim nezek o to'eles el b'mashi hisighu. And how foolish a person would be if he felt that if he can't think of why it's dangerous, then it's not dangerous. V'yesh lecha ladas to'elesenu lo niskala sibas v'nizkan. It must be, for some reason, Hashem didn't want to reveal to us with certain things why they're dangerous. Pen yakuma anashim machazikim atzim kachachim gedolim yischachmu lomar nezik ploni sha'amar atorah sheyesh bedavar ploni einenu. Because there could be people that rise up and denounce it and say the Torah is wrong. Ki'im b'makam ploni. The only time this actually affects a person is in a specific place or in a specific time. Upenis fasil divrayim echad min apsoyim. Lest people be led after their foolishness. Someone who's not so bright might follow after them. And that Kashrus in his eye is a little bit more of a chok. That although we might not understand it, although some doctors might not know reasons for certain things that are forbidden, why they would hurt us, they're still prohibited because Hashem is the ultimate rofe, and He has told us that they could hurt us. Let's go. We're gonna go into section 2, Kabbalistic explanations. We're skip number 1. It's certainly available for further reading. I think I'm only gonna do the Shla and the Arizal. So the Shla in Shara Osios says as follows: HaTorah hizhira b'machos asuros umutaros. The Torah warns us about both forbidden and permissible food, gives us a guide about food. Viskadishtem v'yisem kedoshim tells us to sanctify ourselves and be holy. V'lo tishaksus nafshosechem. This is what we brought up by non-kosher fish, not to and any other shratzim and ramasim, creepy foods. Shizhir lanu atera mehem, that the Torah warned us about. Shora aleim ruach chitzoni. There is, if you've ever heard of, it's really the idea of sitra achra. There is a certain impure spirit that rests upon them. The tamei, and it's impure. V'lachein, therefore, ochel me'osan hadvarim. Anybody that eats these scenes, metameas nafsho, would defile his soul. There's a spiritual quality to all things, and there's a spiritual quality to foods. There's a spiritual quality to non-kosher foods. That quality is a detrimental quality. Umare al atzmo she'ein lo chelik b'kedusha. Such a person shows about himself that he doesn't have a portion in holiness. V'lo Elokei Yisrael, and not in the God of Israel. Ke'adavar atame nasa chelik ever b'etzem ha'adam. Because when you imbibe something impure, it becomes a part of the limbs of the person. Be'etzem ha'adam, in the bones of a person. V'anefesh mislaveshes sham, and that's where the soul dwells. Right? We said the soul uses its body as a vehicle. You're poisoning your soul. He is defiling himself. Being metame, this soul that dwells and is engarbed in his body. And now he'll have a spirit of impurity resting on him. You'll be internalizing the sitra achra. A spirit of impurity that rests on foods will now be, you'll be willingly bringing it into yourself. So again, this goes to the idea that Hashem has a spiritual blueprint per se for how things are supposed to work, and things that are not pure rest upon them a spirit of impurity that you're going to be bringing into yourself when you eat it. Before I do this Arizal, yes.
Why do they keep making it sound like it's krisos for eating treifa?
So it's not krisos as in you get
It's
kares.
not, but
you're right.
Definitely sounds
but
like
you're right. It's not krisos in as much as you would die early and your kids would die early. But it is krisos in as much as you're cutting yourself off from Hashem. You're cutting yourself off from being able to reach your spiritual potential. The Balatanya speaks about whenever you are doing an Aveira, Hashem is sending forth life force that's keeping you alive. Right? He is animating you every moment. You have a spark inside you that's keeping your heart going. You have a heartbeat. You have a shama. And at all points, He is animating you and animating the rest of the world. But when you go against His will, there is a shift in the way that you are receiving that life force. Instead of funneling down directly through him, he's throwing you a bone of existence through the kochos hatuma, through the sitra achra, through forces that look like they are against his will. It happens to be their job is to do that. There's a famous mashal of the Zohar brings the idea of what is the sitra achra and what is the yetzer hara. He says there is a king, and the king has a prince that he wants to test. The king being Hashem, the prince being us. So he hires a harlot to tempt the prince. The harlot doesn't necessarily want the prince to fail. The harlot wants the prince to be successful and be able to show his father that he can stand up and do what he's supposed to. But the harlot's job is still to tempt him. That's what the yetzer hara, that's what the sitra achra is. When a person falls to it, he really is now getting his chiyus, his life force, from it. He's not directly in a direct connect to Hashem on the same level. That can happen by eating non-kosher food. Before we get into this Arizal, I have to throw out another Kabbalistic concept. That is that, and we have things that are klipas noga, that are, they have a shell that we have to break through to be able to use them to their spiritual potential, but they're pretty much parv. They could go either way. I could use the shtender to learn Torah from. I could also pick it up and whack Mitchell over the head. That would be using it to do an Aveira. So it's a parv thing. So many foods are a parv thing.
This can of worms, but it's not ending there.
Right. There's and this also is an idea that's brought into brachos as well. I have a food, I make a bracha over it, I now elevate it out of klipas noga, out of this middle ground, into being a chayfetz shel mitzvah, a mitzvah item, in which I'm now praising Hashem when I eat it. Also, when I eat foods and I use that fuel to do avodas Hashem, to serve Hashem, I'm elevating that food. So that's a little bit of an intro to this Arizal. Let me have, yes, Michael, read the first paragraph here. The great Kabbalist.
Rabbi Isaac Luria Ari taught that every created thing possesses a spark of divine energy that constitutes its essence and soul. When a person utilizes something towards a godly end, he or she brings to light this divine spark, manifesting and realizing the purpose for which it was created. In all physical substances, a material husk, kalipa, encases and conceals the divine spark at its core, necessitating great effort on the part of man to access the spark without becoming enmeshed in the surface materiality.
Let me go to Lee for the next paragraph here.
No existence is devoid of a divine spark. Indeed, nothing can exist without the pinpoint of godliness that imbues it with being and purpose. Thus, one who eats a piece of kosher meat and then uses the energy gained from it to perform a mitzvah, thereby elevates the spark of divinity that is the essence of the meat, freeing it of its mundane incarnation, and raising it to a state of fulfilled spirituality. My God. But not every spark can
Pretty
be
intense.
actualized. There are certain impregnable elements whose spark are inaccessible to us. The fact that something is forbidden by the Torah means that its husk cannot be penetrated, so that its spark remains locked within it and cannot be elevated.
At least until the Yemos HaMashiach. There are many sources that say at that point, many of these things will now become accessible to us, and we will have the power, based on our own godly stature, to be able to access such a thing. But when it comes to kosher food, like we said, one's elevating it when they're eating it with proper intentions, with brachos, using it to fuel our avodas Hashem. You're helping it serve the best purpose it can. When one partakes of meat and sanctifies Hashem's name, he's doing the best thing that could have ever been done with that meat. And we should all realize that in keeping the laws of kosher, laws of kashrus, we can elevate our food, we can elevate our lives, and realizing that we're fulfilling Hashem's desire, building our connection with Him, and keeping our bodies and our souls strong.
I.e. the Shabbos chicken.
Yeah, certainly. Yes.
Do you apply that to the Mashiach also kashrut or thing?
Some of them, according to some sources, there are parts of kashrus that won't exist then, because we'll be on a spiritual level that we won't need it.
So
There are sources that say a chazer will become